or new, conservation or change. The battle between the traditional and unconventional ideas has always been present, whether it's in the form of politics, day-to-day habits, or family values. There is evidence for conflict. Even on television, I see a lot of news channels showing debates or arguments between people who want change and people who don't. In fact, I think it creates the largest divide in our world. Some of us may even know someone who hates old traditions, maybe even someone that hates change. But what is the danger of change? Or just as importantly, what is the danger of no change? The existence of tradition and change mainly exists in larger complexes that take shape as social institutions and creative achievement. It is important to understand that these social institutions and creative achievement should not be disparaged. The denigration of any one of those can be a lot more catastrophic than you may presume. So how do we define a social institution? Well, it's a complex of positions, roles, norms, and values. These elements are lodged in particular types of organized social structures that maintain relatively stable patterns of human activity. In our world, this occurs with respect to fundamental problems in producing life-sustaining resources, in reproducing individuals, and in sustaining viable societal structures within a given environment. Different from social institutions, creative achievements can be defined as complexes or creations of new ideas or concepts, which are attained by mental and social processes. These novel creative achievements have the potential to alter those complexes of positions, norms, roles, and values in a way they can reshape society. I believe it's important to see how crucial these are and how both of them structure our world. To truly show you the functionality of these complexes, let's take traditions, for example. They're a set of beliefs or behaviors passed down within a group or society with symbolic meanings or special significance with origins in the past. Traditions are found in social institutions. To simplify, traditions are important because they allow us to solve problems using solutions which already exist. But in an ever-changing world that is more connected than ever, not all new problems that arise can be completely addressed with old traditions. And only individuals willing to define norms formulate novel solutions to these problems. Sometimes the solutions are good and other times they're bad. The bad solutions necessarily die off, and the good solutions propagate and become part of tradition. And that cycle repeats. This process that society has implemented is even present in nature itself. When it comes to evolution, the same problem-solving cycle is evident at a larger scale. Nature does not possess static problems to be solved, but in reality possesses dynamic ones. In a way, the outcomes of evolution in the form of beings are solutions to the problems of nature. Of the multiplicity of these possible solutions, only some are useful, enough to be reiterated by the next generation. Most of everything that lives is killed by its environment. According to National Geographic, more than 99% of all beings to ever exist have gone extinct. What exists still are well-adapted solutions to the problems of survival, the 1%. This isn't done through one mechanism. It is precise change and conservation that creates success. You see this change and conservation in smaller scaled instances, such as challenges in games. Similar to larger scale problems in our world, the minor ones involve both social institutions and creative achievement. Take chess, for example. Players only get better and better. There are more possible moves than there are individual particles in the observable universe. This does not mean that all the possible moves are good. There's a finite set of useful moves, quote unquote useful, which most players in large chess communities know, things like the Silicon defense. However, the ability to improvise and solve problems creatively is what gives a creative player the edge over an uncreative player. It's what allowed an AI to beat the world chess champion, Garry Kasparov, in 1997. IBM's Deep Blue AI found novel solutions and did things that no human thought to do. Deep Blue came up with new solutions to problems and actually changed the conventions of chess in the process. So, same thing with large scale, same thing with small scale. What I'm getting at here is that social institutions are necessary, but insufficient on their own, on the larger scale or the smaller scale. One cannot just rely on traditions over change, and one cannot rely on change over traditions. Thoughtless repetition of what sufficed in the past, or worse, Insistence that all problems have been permanently solved, therefore means the introduction of danger when changes in the broader world make local change necessary. Respect for creative transformation must in consequence accompany appropriate regard for the problem-solving hierarchical structures bequeathed to us by the past. We even see this in rules. Rules are important. Highly social creatures such as us must abide by these rules to remain sane and minimize unnecessary uncertainty, suffering, and strife. However, we must also transform those rules carefully. As circumstances change around us, especially, rules go way back. So you can't just cynically criticize tradition or new ideas, because you may even be simultaneously throwing out the toolkits for survival. Each individual cannot spontaneously generate the hard-won knowledge of our ancestors, nor can the solutions of the past always be applied to the problems of the future. You may even think of it as traditional or enculturating society and creative rebels defying convention. And they exist in necessary tension. Overall, our world requires a balance of reasonable conservatism and revitalizing creativity.